What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of October 4th through the 10th of 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Welcome to this weekly forecast. We definitely have a lot to talk about this week. We are in October. It's a big month astrologically. There's a lot of moving parts. And, we've kind of been in a place astrologically of not a lot of moving parts. I mean, let's be honest, everything's been very stationed and stopped, including Mercury. Mercury's now really picking up the pace here in retrograde. We're going to see that Mercury Cazimi this week with the Sun, and Mars is going to be there. We're going to see a new moon in Libra. That's a beautiful energy that we're coming into Tuesday. But at the same time, it comes with a quincunx to Uranus, and it comes with a conjunction with Mars. Woo! It's spicy. And there is, trines to Saturn, wide but separating. And there's an opposition to Chiron. So, very big new moon energy that we're going to talk about this week. We're also going to see Pluto come direct. Dun, dun, dun. Woo! That's a big one. That Pluto coming direct is a big catalyst. And by the end of the week, we're also going to see Saturn come direct. So we're about ready to get the momentum moving forward. We've been doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of inner work, especially with the Sun and Mars opposite Chiron. We had to, look at some vulnerabilities. We had to kind of get back to in tune with ourselves in a lot of ways and realize how far we've come so that we can see the beauty. And I would say it's very important this week to realize how far you've come. I've been saying that for a while. That's a very strong message right now, is like, you have gotten to this point for a reason and you want to embrace your power. This is a very, potent Chiron time. Chiron's making a lot of aspects. We're going to see even Venus get ready in the next couple weeks to make a trine. Venus is also going to come into Sagittarius. That's going to be a big vibe shift because this Venus in Scorpio has been sharing reception with Mars. And you know what? It took a little edge off of a Venus in Scorpio. It took a little bit of that edge or a little bit of that frustration off maybe what we see within other people with Mars in Libra. But that numbing's coming off too. So now we're going to really feel our defining energies of the Sun and Mars, detriment and fall position here. We're going to feel this. So buckle up. It's okay. But it's the wild, outlandish ways that are actually going to prove the most valuable. They're actually going to show you the most beauty. And it's like, that's where you want to initiate from, is the road less traveled. It is not a time to start experimenting with I'll be honest, with what the mass projection onto society is telling you. If you've been holding your line this long, it's likely you're not going to do that. But that side is going to get ramped up. This Pluto is a big deal coming direct. I've been using the analogy of a wrecking ball, and Pluto in that retrograde really hit the apex, and it's coming back down. So it's coming right for America's Pluto at 27 degrees. That's going to be an exact hit on February 22nd of 2022. So we are just marching forward to that, and every day from Tuesday, because not only do we get a new moon on Tuesday in Libra, a couple hours later, Pluto comes direct. We are marching towards that. And this is where we're going to start to see some of the biggest control grabs we've ever seen. There's cycles playing in the background right now. There's a Jupiter-Pluto, a Saturn-Pluto in Capricorn. Like, we live in a cycle now of extreme control, of extreme power and restriction. And we're seeing it every day in our lives. They're trying to push new mandates and orders every day that's trying to keep people down. So this is bigger than just America's Pluto, because we're seeing it on a world scale that this is happening. So it's very important that we reclaim our own power and our own integrity, because the integrity of governments, the integrity of control is hanging, I mean, it doesn't even exist, but you could say it's hanging on by the last thread of its life. And it's going to try and reach for that power. And even with Venus this week finishing up in Scorpio, there's going to be some some moves around money. There's going to be some moves around, what people are doing with their values. And, I think there's a lot that's being hidden when it comes to values. I know firsthand from a few people in my life that have a lot of money that they are diversifying their money into everything they can, and it's not just the standard like normal things. It's very Uranus and Taurus. There's some like, I don't even know what they're called. There's some crazy bonds from some other currency, and they're eating. People with money are eating these things up like hotcakes, and they're not going to tell us this stuff. So everything they tell us, I'll be honest, that's coming through a media with this Neptune retrograde in Pisces in this third decan is all part of the massive spell, and it's all part of the Saturn and Pluto control that we've been seeing in this cycle that we're living. And we're going to be living this cycle for a long time. This isn't something that's just going to end, so this is just the time where in a lot of ways the revolution starts. In a lot of ways, this is where it's so blatantly obvious to people who see that there are massive amounts of control trying to manipulate people and trying to overreach for power and control, that it's a matter of who's willing to not play in that system anymore. But at the same time, we have to play in this physical reality. We have to, really be smart. These final degrees of Capricorn with Pluto, it's going to be very intense. It's going to be very intense, and it's going to be tiring. It gets tiring when you get to the end of Capricorn. It is like, gosh, I've been working, I've been dedicating, I've been doing the responsible thing for myself in my life and going on my path of destiny, and I got to climb up this last little valley and this last little peak, and it's like, oh my gosh, it can feel like a roller coaster. But we're going to have to navigate it. And of course, this new moon energy, it's beautiful. A Libra new moon, it's trying to show us the beauty in life. It's trying to show us where we need to balance things out, especially in our personal lives. But it's by doing the different with the quincunx to Uranus. And the different is the weird. So whatever it is that shows up over this next lunation cycle that's weird and different, but it's like, that has value. That actually might bring me something good. I've never done that before. Guess what? That's what's going to bring the harmony into your life, because the same old, that shit's already going out the window. So it's very important this week to be mindful of the signs that are trying to show you the better way. They're trying to take you higher in life. There really is like the quincunx energy, it's part of a yod. There's God trying to take so many of us higher right now, but we can't go higher if we are embracing the status quo, the normal, the projection, the spell, if you will, because in many ways that's exactly what we're seeing on our world right now. Like, that's the plague, is people who are just spelled and cannot see or spiritually discern, or even with a North Node in Gemini, logically discern with all the information that has come out that maybe they might want to think for themselves. This Mercury retrograde is definitely helping us find balance when it comes to thinking for ourselves, but it can also get us wishy-washy, and we're going to see a Mercury Cazimi with the sun. That's a pretty powerful thing. And with Mars, we're looking at a helio view here, we're going to see Mars in opposition to the Earth. The Earth would be in Aries with Chiron. Mercury's going to be in Aries with the Earth. So it's Mars, the Sun, Mercury. The Moon will be close, but Moon, Sun, Earth, and then Chiron behind us. So there's a pretty powerful alignment of energy, and a lot of it has to do with healing our wounds about our identity, of not feeling like we can move forward with power and authority for ourselves, for our own personal freedoms. That's a big part of it. The people who are going to thrive in this time are the ones that are ready to own up to their power, to realize that they have put in so much work to get them to this moment now, that they're not going to let things outside of them stop them. They're not going to let people with a Sun and Mars in their fallen detriment dictate their lives to try and, oh no, this is fair and balanced. No, you know what's fair and balanced in your life, and this is where you have to identify with those things. And people, of course, are important in Libra, and this Libra new moon is bringing up relationships big time. But we've been talking about relationships for, 13 days now, and then coming into this week, I mean, it's very important. And the people that you're relating to, the people in your community, the people in your tribe with the air energy that we're seeing in the chart, oh, it's a big deal. So we have to remember that, yes, we have to be powerful within ourselves, but that power comes with how we relate to people that are also in their sovereign power. This is about balance. If you're a sovereign being, guess what you need in your tribe, in your community, in your relationship? Another sovereign being. This is just not one of those times where we just want to try and give piggyback rides. Hey, I got you. We're at this last bit of Capricorn with Pluto here. Hop on. No, we don't want to be trying to save anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where we have to really get down to business for making sure we're putting ourselves in the right place. And there are people that are doing the same thing that we don't have to get on. You know what? And hopefully that makes sense, because yes, we want to have compassion. Yes, we want to have love, but this just isn't the time to save somebody. This is the time to really progress forward with where your heart, with where you are being guided to spiritually. The people that are meant to reach the top of this mountain are going to reach the mountain with you. So October is very intense. It's very intense. We're seeing Saturn and Uranus in Helio. Oh my gosh, they are just creeping until October 19th, when that's exact, with a Sun and Mars square Pluto. Direct. So that's going to activate. Mars is an activator. So Pluto's just going to come direct. And not this week, but next week, we're going to see Mars and the Sun square that Pluto. It's going to be a major activation. Something is brewing behind the scenes, and it's going to be one of the biggest power grabs and manipulative events in reality we've ever seen. And I think we can kind of pinpoint where that might be. It's pretty obvious with the mandates that are coming out, and a certain something that they want everybody to get, or else you can't live a normal life, even though there's nothing normal about the life they're trying to present to you. Like, literally, they're like, hey, go back to normal, but wear your mask. But you guys already know that. So this is where we have to continue up our mountain this week. We have to continue to push. That's where the beauty is. That's where the harmony is. We're going to see Venus ingress into Sagittarius, and that's going to take some of the numbing off. There's been a little bit of numbing with all this retrograde. It's been like, oh, everything's good, and Venus and Mars were sharing mutual reception. So, it wasn't as like an intense of a Venus in detriment in Scorpio. It wasn't as sort of a debilitated Mars in Libra. They were backing each other up. Like, Venus kind of gave us some of that feminine, like, let's make it happen with Mars and Libra. Mars and Libra's like, yeah, you know what? I'll show my more compassionate, more work with people energy, more of my artistic creative pursuits, and move in that direction. But with that Venus coming into Sagittarius and getting close to the South Node, there's also a comfort to that. Venus does like the South Node, but it's getting tricky. The Mars and Sun combination is pretty powerful, and we're going to have another week of the Mars and Sun together here in Libra. So, gosh, this does give us a lot of energy. Regardless of if they're both in detriment and fall, there is a lot of life force. There's a lot we can do. There's like a competitive nature. There's like, we got to do something. We got to move our energy. And the more we're able to move our energy in a pursuit of beauty and balance and the right equal relationships, to where we're not just dragging people up the top of the mountain, but we're doing it together. And we're building that solid relationship is an easy word, but I wanted to say something else and I lost it. Teamwork is probably the best way to put it. That solid, equal amount of give and take of teamwork between people in our lives is crucial. We're going to need it. We do need people in our lives. And Saturn's teaching us that. Saturn's teaching us that people are so important in Aquarius. And Saturn's going to go direct on Sunday. It's a big deal. We're about to see society get really restricted again. We're about to see big controls over people. We're about to see, probably the biggest splits that we've ever seen in the collective. And, that's part of Aquarius too. It's the two waves, it's the two frequencies. We're really going to see who wants to be on this frequency and who wants to be on this frequency. And again, I'm not here to say which one's right or wrong. I'm just saying whichever one you within your heart and your divine presence within you feels like you need to be on, that is the right one, and you just need to hold your line for that road. For that road, and it's going to be the road less traveled. It's not going to be the road that's projected, like I mentioned earlier. It's the unique way. It's the odd, the unconventional way to beauty and to the top of this mountain that is going to have the payoff, that is going to take you higher in life. And that's what Uranus wants to do here, retrograde in Taurus, is it wants to show us that there's more to value than what maybe we already have been accustomed to over the last 80 years. There's more. Values have evolved. What are the best values now? Is it still going to be the dollar bill? We'll see. There's a lot going on with the dollar bill. There's a lot going on with the debt ceiling. There's, eclipses coming up here with a sun in Scorpio and a moon in Taurus. The nodes are about to shift at the beginning of next year. We're coming into some interesting, financial times are going to be, they're going to be top of the thing. And some people have issues with money, but I think, a lot of spiritual community has really wanted and embraced to attract in that abundance because they know their worth and their value. And this is where you can really attract that in by knowing balance in your life, by knowing and feeling into value. What is valuable to you? What's going to be valuable to a community? This is where we can all start to really embrace our unique attributes in life. On a week like this, we all have something unique to offer. We all have something unique to provide to a tribe, to friendships, relationships. And we have to accept that we are not, as humans, we can't just do everything by ourselves. Sure, we could be decent at a bunch of things, but there's always going to be someone that's better at one thing than another person. That's just the way it is. And we want to link up with people who are in their sovereign self and they're feeling strong and they're also in their creative ability right now, because we're going to need that creativity. And Libra is a very creative sign. It's very artistic and beautiful. And that's going to be the goal, is how to find that middle ground of beauty, and in probably the most extreme of Libra seasons that maybe we've ever seen as we come into a Scorpio season in mid-October. So we're right at this middle point. We're coming up this week to the midpoint of Libra season. And really, the new moon's right there at 13 degrees. And let's just say, too, 13 degrees makes a 4. And that's very Uranian, too. So we are in a time of accelerated change. We are in a time of having to really figure out the unconventional, unique path to beauty and harmony and happiness. And it's going to take courage. And Mars is with this new moon this week. There's something about really taking powerful initiative to be in strong relationships, strong community, to be strong in what beauty and balance is to you. These are all things that are going to be crucial this week, because there's just a bunch of things. If you go look out into the world, supply lines, there's ships just sitting off the coast for what? Why are the ships just sitting there? Why don't they dock and unload? Is there any legitimate reason for this? I personally don't know. Maybe there is. I doubt it, though. There's just this agenda. There's just a plan. Like I said, it's going to be power control, power assertion, dominance, manipulation to make people feel like they really need that government. They really need, help me. And guess what? They'll help you. But it's not going to be in a fun way. It's going to be in a very give up your sovereignty, give up your rights, give up everything you've worked for up until this point if you have to go that route. And that's why This North Node next year coming into Taurus is really going to have to teach people. You're going to have to know how to manifest. You're going to have to know how to attract in what you want. And the handouts, the loans, unemployment with the South Node in Scorpio, that's all going to have a power behind it because the dispositor of that South Node will be Pluto coming to America's return. So yes, we're looking at seeing this wrecking ball of Pluto come into America's Pluto. And, this could be a moment where a revolution starts, where there's so many awake right now because consciousness is just going up and up and up, that there is a possible revolution, that there is a sense of, even with Jupiter and Saturn meeting in Aquarius, this sense of civil disobedience. There's something about Aquarius that comes after Capricorn that it doesn't want to be a sheep. It wants to individuate from that system. It wants to do its own thing. It wants to figure out a better way. And that's a 20-year cycle too. So there's a lot of cycles playing here in the background. On one hand, there's this intense, deep control and manipulation of power. And on the other hand, there's a real unique sense of finding better ways. And that takes revolutionaries within us all as individuals. And I think it takes us really holding the line of the frequency that we want, and that is going to show us the benefit. We're going to see Mercury also trine Jupiter this week, and then meet with Mars and the Sun. So our mind in retrograde here is definitely like getting closer to our heart and our power and our assertion, and where we can put all that energy and that life force that we have. But we can't get lost up and just be like, I don't know where to put my energy and my direction, and help me, show me. Like, this is where we got to remember that you know what to do. You can feel it. You know what's going to be best. You've seen the signs. It's all right in front of you, especially with a North Node in Gemini. Like, everything important has shown up right in front of your face, all the information you could possibly need. But were you too stuck in limiting beliefs with a South Node in Sag to believe that? Like, we got to break limits. We got to push our limits. That's the only way. And that's what this Uranian 13 degree with a quincunx to Uranus is saying, is if you want the best, if you want the comfort of a physical world that is completely in shambles and just getting shaken and just the glass is shattering on this table of life, you have to be able to take the individuated road and know that you can manifest it and create it by knowing your worth and your value in the most authentic way for you. And that's going to attract in the right relationships. So this is such an important time with relationships and beauty. But we have to remember too that it's not all about just the hand-me-outs. It's not all about needing someone to push us along or to push other people along. And that might be a hard one, but that one definitely came through kind of strong. Just talking about this. Like, I don't plan any of this out. Like, I just hit record. Like, that one feels really strong. Like, we can't be needing someone to just grab our hand and take us up the mountain either. Like, we really got to dig for our power. And that was probably a lot of the lesson here with the Sun and Mars opposing Chiron that we felt last week and last weekend, is having to really get back to, I can do this. I can. That's very Aries. I can. I am not wounded anymore. I have found my strength. I have found my power, my ability to go in a direction that I impulsively, instinctively, intuitively feel called to. So in essence, we all have to really grab that Emperor energy within us if we're looking at tarot and Aries, and really start delegating our own life and make sure that everybody in our royal courts of that Emperor is delegating their life too to get up this mountain, because it's going to be a rocky road for the next few years. And it starts now. We're going to start to see things just pop off left and right. And I think that there's beauty to that. I think that we're ready to see. I think, a lot of us have been feeling like intuitively we know we're on the cusp of big changes. We know there's something big coming. And it's like, wow, there's little, kind of little things, little big things that keep popping off. Definitely a lot of this can make us frustrated. Seeing things and being like, gosh, that is so frustrating. I can't believe that. Well, it is frustrating, but We have to remember to like take deep breaths to still see the beauty around us, but we need to be smart now. And this Mercury retrograde's helping us with the North Node in Gemini and it being the dispositor is common sense around who we're relating to, about justice is so important, because if it doesn't feel just, if it doesn't feel like it's balanced, it's not. And how long are we going to sit there on the scales and weigh it out? Oh, well, maybe if I give up this right, then well, at least I could have this one. But like this is the big right and it's weighing the scales and they're completely out of order. So this is initiating a big cycle of finding that, real order in our lives of what's going to bring beauty and balance, and how can we get that aesthetic into our life, and it's through the unconventional route. Because everything is about to shatter, and we have to deprogram from what we thought the way was. I think, if you look back a few years ago, maybe a couple years, maybe last year, maybe 10 years, like there was this ideal of what we were going to be doing in this time, looking back, what the world would be like, what society would be like. And it's simply not that. It's a completely new one. And it's not the conventional one. We're coming into the age of Aquarius. We're on the cusp of ages here. Like, we can dream in the end of Pisces and be like, oh, it'll be this way, all we want. But the more we can be objective and smart and use our genius to move forward and to connect, instead of, that's another thing too, is we could get really disconnected with Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius. Be like, I'm just not going to pay attention to that. I don't like what's going on in the world. I'm just not going to look at it. Like there's a difference between looking at it and acquiring information with the North Node in Gemini and then peeling back and figuring out what the best way is, and then just completely, nope, I don't want to see the facts. I just believe or I'll hope that everything's going to turn out this certain way. So there's a level of presence. There's a level of here that we want to finish this year out and that we want to have for this week in October. Because you can just think about where Pluto was at these degrees of Capricorn. The United people in the United States and the colonies, they have had enough of the overreach of control from Britain. And they got out. They signed their Declaration of Independence. So in a lot of ways, this is a great week to remember that we have to break away for our independence and to not be controlled by the overreach that's going to try and control and restrict. And I don't know how that's going to necessarily look. I really don't. I wish I could just be like, it's going to look just like this. I think there's writing on the wall, but with the Uranian energy like this, it's very hard to predict. It's going to be the last thing we thought of. And that's just what this lunation cycle is going to bring us, is very strange, very weird shots to show us where the ultimate value is and where the ultimate beauty is and the ultimate relationships, where there's a sovereign capability to create on an individual basis. And then the power of those two forces coming together in our lives, one sovereign human, another sovereign human, in their capability to manifest and create. When those two come together, that is power. That is creation. That is extreme manifestation. And I think that that's where we could go.